Hi, everybody. This is Coach McCurry from Baseball by the Hour. Today's seminar is going to ask the question, should you hold or send the runner at third base? Now, I did a blog post on this a while back, but I thought I'd do a video presentation because it is certainly important for coaches to understand all the variables that are involved. But today is going to really focus on one tip that is going to, I think, greatly help third base coaches determine when to send a runner and when not to. So let's take a look at some of the specifics here. First off, if you've ever coached third base, you realize very quickly it is not as easy as it looks. And it's kind of a thankless job. And generally, the only time we figure out the name of the third base coach at the major league level is when he sends a runner and the runner gets thrown out by 20 feet. It's only then do we start to pay attention to who the third base coach is. So first off, let's take a look at some of the variables that go into the decision as to whether to send the runner home or to hold him up at third base. Certainly the speed of the runner is going to play a factor in all this. The arm of the outfielder, how hard the ball is hit certainly is another one. How many outs there are, the score, the inning, who is on deck. Certainly if you get a runner thrown out at home plate with no outs, with the 3, 4, and 5 hitter coming up, that's going to be a problem. So knowing who is on deck and the situation certainly is going to be a variable. Certainly the field conditions, if the grass is wet, if the grass has horrible bounces, all those things play a role as well in your decision. The accuracy of the outfielder. It's not just okay to have a strong arm as an outfielder, but how accurate is the guy's throw. And also the transition. There's some outfielders that have tremendous arms and are very accurate with their throws, but they take forever to actually get rid of the ball once they catch it. So that certainly is an important part of making that decision. But today's tip is generally going to focus on recognizing the impact of where the outfielders are positioning themselves prior to the ball being hit. And today's tip is going to show you something to look for so that before the play even occurs, you will have a better understanding of when to send a runner and when not to. Now, here's a disclaimer off the bat here. The lower you go in baseball, the less you have to think about all this. The lower levels generally have players that are not going to be able to perform all those variables consistently that I mentioned before. So even players who are the better outfielders with the better arms, at the lower levels, chances are really good they're not going to get a good hop. The chances are really good they're going to screw something up. So looking at all those things, you have to also keep in mind that there is a lot of things that have to go right in order for a runner to be thrown out at home plate. So here are just some of them. First off, bounces. I mentioned before that outfielder has to get a clean hop. Now, when you're playing on major league fields where the outfielders are more like fairways and the grass is perfect and every bounce is perfect, that's not going to be the case. At the college level, it's generally not going to be the case at high school level, and below that, the chances of getting nice, easy hops become less and less the younger you get. So that in and of itself can allow you to send that runner because it's pretty likely that the bounces are going to mess with the outfielder. Certainly the ability to field it cleanly, the footwork. Many outfielders just do not practice enough the proper footwork and the more efficient footwork that is going to allow them to make this play. Certainly the slow transition that was mentioned before, the grip. Many times outfielders don't get a proper grip on the ball and throw a changeup or the ball slips out in some way. Whether the outfielder is throwing overhand or sidearm can certainly impact their throw. That has to go right. Certainly they would need a strong throw, an accurate throw. The catcher, when he does receive the ball, certainly has to catch it himself cleanly, which isn't always done. Catcher must apply the tag properly. Catcher must hold on to the ball after the tag is made. And, of course, you just add to the confusion and add to the difficulty when a cutoff man is involved. So I've just talked here about the outfielder and the catcher, but you add a whole nother step when you throw in cutoff men who also have to position themselves correctly, also have to catch the ball correctly, transition, make an accurate throw, and make it easy to handle. So you put all those things together, and it actually is very unlikely that a player is going to be thrown at home plate. But there are times in key situations where you need to think about all these variables, and they all certainly apply. But today I'm going to talk about the outfield positioning. So here is a positioning setup of a team, and the numbers, of course, represent what position they're playing. And the first tip I would say to coaches is recognize where the holes are on the infield. So, for example, one hole is between the shortstop and the third baseman. Another hole is up the middle, and the next hole is between the first and second baseman. Now, the tip here is figuring out where the outfielders are located in relation to this hole. So in this picture here, you see the left fielder is a little bit offline in terms of that hole. The center fielder is to the right side or right field side of that hole or that line. And it seems like the right fielder is pretty much in line with the hole at first base. So that is information that as a third base coach, you are going to want to know prior to the ball being hit. So let's go back and take one of those scenarios at a time and give an indication as how this information can help coaches. So let's start with a ball that is hit through the left side of the infield between the shortstop and the third baseman. If the third base coach knows before the ball is even hit where the left fielder is in relation to this hole, the ball does not even leave the infield, and the coach knows I'm sending this runner. In this case, the left fielder not only is going to have to charge the ball, he's going to have to move to his right, which is going to make it very unlikely that on a ball hit through the left side, he's going to be able to throw that guy out at home plate because he does not get the chance to charge straight ahead at the ball, get all his momentum generated into that ball, and therefore able to have a very strong throw. So knowing that the left fielder is not lined up with that hole, any ball hit through that left side, you know is not going to be a ball that's going to be easy to handle by the left fielder. So you can make your decision to send the runner before the ball even gets into the outfield because you knew where the outfielder was lined up before the ball was even hit. Now, if the ball is hit directly over the shortstop's head on a line drive, you know, okay, well, the left fielder in this case, it was lined up pretty much behind the shortstop. So right when the ball gets over the shortstop's head, you pretty much know immediately this is going to be a tough play in terms of this runner scoring because you know the left fielder is going to be charging straight ahead and he's going to be able to have a good beat on that ball and is less likely for that runner to be able to score. And a ball hit up the middle, you can see based on the line where the outfielder is because you know the outfielder is positioned to the right of second base. Any ball hit to the left of second base into the outfield, that is one you know right away before the ball even leaves the infield that the runner is going to be able to score. Now, one advantage you have on balls hit up the middle is you have the mound. You can see that this line goes to the pitcher's right. So anytime you see a ball go past the pitcher's right on the mound, you don't have to wait for the ball to get past the shortstop. You know if the ball gets past the shortstop, you are sending him because the ball went past that side of the mound. Of course, on the other side here, if a ball is hit on that side of the mound, as soon as the ball passes that side of the mound, you know that ball is going right to the right to the center fielder, and he is going to be able to charge very aggressively straight at the ball, and that may be a case where you might have to hold the runner because the outfielder is going to get a much better jump on that ball. On the ball to right field, obviously, that right fielder is in line with that hole at first base, and so you know before the ball is even hit. A ball hit through the right side is going to be right at the right fielder. Now, of course, if the ball is hit right at the right fielder, it doesn't mean you can't send the runner. It just means that some of those other variables that apply, field conditions, how good the right fielder's arm is, how quick his release, and all those other things may start to come into play more so than they had in the past.